You're listening to KTST FM, Orange County. Now broadcasting from coast to coast and around the world at KTSTFM.com. Stay tuned for more.
All right, welcome to the Craig Barry Experience. Hi, everybody. I'm Craig Barry, and today we are joined by a very special guest, Jedediah Laub-Klein. Laub-Klein. Yeah, I should know this by now. I've only known him for quite a while. He has this great movie out called Death of an Independent, and it's on CD, and we're going to discuss that in just a few minutes. But right now, here is Soft Cell and Tainted Love on KTSTFM.com and the American Radio Network.
Touch me, baby, tainted love. Tainted love.
That's right. I think we've all had a tainted love once or twice in our life. I'm Craig Barry. You're listening to the Craig Barry Experience. Welcome to Saturday, November 12th, the day after 11/11/11. I'm here with Jedediah Laub-Klein, and he is a producer, director, writer, actor extraordinaire of his great independent film, Death of an Independent. How are you today, Jed?
I'm fine. Fine.
Good. We're going to talk a little bit about your music today that's in the film.
Okay.
So some great stuff. How you came up with the concept, the whole 9 yards.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
All right. Yeah, it'll be a good time. But before we do that, we have a little music to play right now. Here is Eddie Money. 2 tickets to Paradise on KTSTFM.com and the Craig Barry Experience. I'm Craig Barry. Enjoy. All right, 2 tickets to Paradise. Little Eddie Money going on right there. We are going to be with Jedediah Laub-Klein in just a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about his film. Here's one of the songs from his film. And Jed, you can talk a little bit about this. It's called Cold Blooded.
It's not from my film. It's just really great.
Okay. Why not be really great? It's a little song going into the commercial from Marquez called Cold Blooded on KTSTFM.com. All right. There's my little Boston band there, Bad Boys from Boston, Aerosmith, on KTSTFM.com. We are back with Jedediah Laub-Klein, who produced, wrote, directed, starred in. What else can we say about you? Did the lighting, editing for Death of an Independent.
Well, Death of an Independent is a film that's about the closing of a bookstore called Acres of Books. And basically, I worked there for 5 years. It was always this threat that it was going to close, and then one day we came in and it was announced that we were closing. So I started making this film, and this film is sort of like, it's been described as the death of watching a sort of an older dinosaur collapse in on itself. So right now we're going to hear a clip from the film, and what this is the introduction to the bookstore itself, since the bookstore obviously needed to be a character in the film, and this is the introduction that we gave it.
Who is speaking in this intro?
It's actually a bunch of employees. The first person is the manager. His name is Ron Yankovic, and he's sort of introducing us not only to the bookstore but to books themselves, because I feel like people sort of forget what goes into a book. So that it's written and edited and bound, and there's arts in all of this, and I sort of wanted to say there's an art in everything. There's an art in this book, there's an art in this bookstore, and, this is what we're losing.
Right. Well, let's take a listen to it, and we'll talk right after this with more of Jedediah Laub-Klein on the Craig Barry Experience.
Oh, the best thing about Acres, of course, is the books. I mean, there's something about this thing that you can't get on a computer screen. The internet is a wonderful thing. I love the internet. The best research tool, the best communications tool ever invented by man. But this is fantastic because, let me get a better example. You walk into the place and you're instantly taken up in the atmosphere of people, of words, of culture, of ideas.
I mean, that's the thing about a bookstore, is that it's a land of opportunity, literally, intellectual opportunity. There's all sorts of things waiting on those shelves if you care to look.
Acres of Books is a used bookstore, the largest in California, probably the third largest in the country. That's the U.S. of A.
It's a treasure of sort of hidden treasure. It's a treasure of hidden treasure, if that makes sense.
Okay, here's one that's a little fancier. So here you have a beautifully designed cover, right? Have a little gold here, and this one particular one on the leaves. It smells of dust and books and when it rains, mildew and damp and cat and thoughts, thoughts, all thoughts.
They see the thoughts of man for 2,000 years, written down. They see dreams.
It's put together like a fire trap, designed by 5-year-olds.
It's a place where people come and not just buy books, but love books. Books on every subject you can imagine, and some that you can't. You have all this information. This is information that somebody took the time to write, to edit, to typeset, to print, to bind. And so this one goes back about 100 years. We had about 1 million books at the peak of inventory.
There's so much disorganization on the shelf that when you start looking for one thing, you inevitably find things you weren't looking for that you knew you always wanted.
That when you come in and you become kind of a fixture here, you belong.
Seems to be having just a little bit of technical difficulties with that clip. Let's talk, Jed, just a little bit about some of the music that you were talking about in the film.
Well, the music for my film was done by a very good friend of mine named Kevin Micah, who is part of a one-man band called Animal Hospital. And his music is sort of meditatively organic, and it's part of this whole sort of thing of the bookstore being part of nature and dying, and I really wanted his music in it. And in fact, when we were in high school, I used to joke that I was going to be the next Kubrick, and I was going to hire him, and I was going to do all this stuff. And then when I had an opportunity to, quote, hire him, unquote, to do the music, he was the first on the list. And the way I worked it was I would listen to his music, and then I would start editing the sequences. And his music is really an integral part of the film. And without his music, the film would be not even as close to as good as it is. My hat goes off to him as much as me or anyone else in the film.
Yeah, and we will play some of that music from the film in just a few minutes.
Okay.
And that's no problem. But right now, we're kind of from the same area of the world. I know theoretically, I know you grew up a little bit in Massachusetts, but tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in Canada, and my parents moved around a lot, and then eventually settled down on both coasts because apparently living apart, they couldn't get far enough away, so they decided that an entire country would be good enough. And so I was shuttled between Boston and Los Angeles. And my mother is a filmmaker, and my father is an anthropologist and a sociologist. So I should have the alleged genetics to be a fairly decent filmmaker or anthropologist, whichever I chose. So, and I got a degree in history from Cal State Long Beach, and was always sort of fascinated by film. I mean, I remember, and the way I got into film was my father and I went out and we rented a bunch of videos one night, and my parents were standing in the corner of the video store talking to each other, saying, should we show him this? I don't know if we should show him this. And okay, we'll show him it. And it turned out to be Clockwork Orange. And the opening shot of that film, I was just like, this is what I want to do with my entire life, forever and ever. And that was what really made me want to be a filmmaker.
Right.
Unfortunately, I also then was fascinated by history, and so I have a degree in history, and would be a history teacher if not for the previous administration here in California.
We won't mention him. He's not the governor anymore. But anyways,
he's also not very good in Hercules in New York.
We won't mention that. Now, Clockwork Orange. You mentioned that. big fan of Stanley Kubrick and have seen Clockwork Orange too many times to mention.
Join the club.
And now I've seen your film a lot. I saw the premiere, and we have it at home. My wife and I do watch it from on occasion.
Well, I keep giving you $500 a month to do that. So.
Oh, that's what that's for. Okay, you know, Paola. But anyways, that film reminds me of a Kubrick type film. It's very similar in the way, not quite Clockwork Orange, of course, but
it would get released. If it was that.
and it may, and you know, there are a lot of people out here listening to this. So,
yeah, no, I mean, you kind of when you're shooting a film, everything that you sort of have seen in your life is you're sort of seeing it through those lenses, whether it's Clockwork Orange or The Times of Harvey Milk, which is another favorite film of mine, or any documentary by Earl Morris. Or any, you know, I mean, and then of course you're going through Scorsese and you're running through all this and you have your tracking shots and you're sort of convinced that you're going to be the next greatest whatever you want to think you're going to be, you know, but it all comes out in your film. And to say that there's anything original in the film is not, it would be inappropriate because there just isn't. But, you know, it doesn't matter because it's your own vision.
Right.
And I think my vision in that film is very clear. So, yeah, no, I mean that's the way films work.
Well, that's the way films should work, and I'm not saying this because you're here, but I really enjoy your film. As you know, I've told you this several times. Right now, we are going to take a quick commercial break. We do have to pay some bills, and we'll be back with Jedediah Laub-Klein in just a minute or two. And then after that, a little bit of music that we have to play and go from there. So I am Craig Berry. You are listening to The Craig Berry Experience, and we will be back right after this message.